So good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another weekend virtual cafe. And for those who have not been a part of a virtual cafe before, this is not so much a workshop where we teach as it is a discussion where we share. And so I always love these virtual cafes because I walk away knowing and learning so much from you all. So I'm excited to have you here. And I know that we're going to expect a few more to arrive shortly. So for those of you who haven't met me before, my name is Carrie Ramsey. I'm the project manager for the Weekend Project, which is led by Queen's University. And many of you know that we serve and support women identifying entrepreneurs in the greater Kingston region, the Quinte region, and of course, around the world when we do these virtual workshops, because of course, we can serve folks just about any corner of the world. But most of you on the call today, I believe, are from our region. And so it is wonderful to have you with us. Why don't you take a moment now to, if you feel comfortable, share in the Zoom chat what your business is. Maybe you have a business link. This is a great opportunity to network as well as to learn and share today. So I invite you, as I'm just speaking, to do that. While you're doing so, I'll acknowledge that Queen's University is situated on the ancestral territory of the Huron, the Anishinaabe, and the Haudenosaunee peoples. And it is an honor and a privilege to live, work, and play on these ancestral lands. So as a white settler today, I acknowledge that this region is a region where the First Nations people were established here first. And in working with so many of our weekend clients, I have learned more about Indigenous business practices, ways of living, and for that, I am very grateful. Thank you so much for those of you who are connecting in the Zoom chat. If you're just arriving, please feel free to let us know what your business is. If you have a website or a LinkedIn, maybe you have an Instagram account that you'd like people to follow, just let us know. We would love to connect with you, whether now or later afterwards. And by the way, if anybody ever wants a copy of the Zoom chat, I don't typically send it out, but just email me and ask for it, and I'm happy to send you a copy of the Zoom chat. All right, so today's topic, as I mentioned, is one that really is a possibility for us all, which is this idea of growing an online community. So just as we're starting, I want to put a poll out. I'm going to launch that poll right now, which is just asking, do you have an online community for your business? This is anonymous. It just gives us an idea of how many people either are thinking about it. I'm assuming one way or the other, it's of interest to you because you showed up today to this workshop. But take a moment just to click yes or no, but I'm thinking about it, to give us an idea how many communities we've actually got amongst us. All right, so thanks, everyone has answered that. So we've got, I'm going to end the poll and I'm going to share the results. So hopefully you can see the results of that, but basically just slightly more than half of you have an online community, and about 46% of you are thinking about it. So that's great. That gives us a good idea about the fact that we've got quite a few folks in the room who have some experience with it. Now, let me ask you this second question, and I won't be chattering the whole time, I promise. But the second part of this is, do you belong to any online communities? That might be a Facebook group, that might be a Mighty Networks, that might be Tribe or some other version. So you can just answer this one in the Zoom chat. If you want to say, so the question again was, do you belong to any online communities? And if you even want to say how many, if you want to say, yep, more than 10, yes, 1, like, what do you belong to communities? Because I think that that's kind of interesting as well. Lisa says, I do many. Thanks so much for those of you who are introducing yourselves. But yeah, do you belong to? We're seeing a whole bunch of yeses. And very often I find that those of us who create groups are also members of others, and we've observed and we've seen how they worked. And maybe we've I like that, but I don't like that. Here's how I would do it differently. And that prompts us eventually to start our own, because hey, we're entrepreneurs. We're all about starting things, right? So great. That gives us a good idea as well. So many of you do belong to groups. Fantastic. So what I would love to do, as we're kicking off, I've invited Lisa, who is, Lisa, you just wave your hand right there so we all see you. Hi. I'm gonna give her the floor because she has created a pretty cool Facebook community, which is linked to her business, Great Lakes Sourdough School, right? Did I get that correct? Oh, you're on mute. I want to say,
It's Great Lakes sourdough because I do classes, I do starters and things like that. So
love it.
yeah,
Okay, so Lisa started in, I think it was 2020. Let's
yeah.
just give some context here. She is a within last 5 years business. And so she started this community in that time, and it's currently at over 23,000 members of that community. So when I was talking to her a few weeks ago and I noticed that, I was like, oh my goodness, we're going to have this. Would you just come and share a few strategies, some thoughts? So Lisa,
Mhm.
I'm going to turn it over to you. I believe I'm going to spotlight you. And go ahead, just share with us a little bit about your group, maybe, what you have found and how it's helped your business.
Right. So I started my community. It's called Sourdough Micro Bakery Community when I was running my own micro bakery, Bread by Elise. And so about 3 years ago, I found that I was needing help and I wanted to speak with other micro bakeries. So I started this group, and for probably about 2.5 years, it was around 100 people. And then all of the sudden, it just took off. And so I would say in the last year, it's gone from about 150 people to almost 24,000 people. So it's been a lot of work. I have a couple of people who are helping me moderate it. It's mostly Americans that are on it, but the conversations are just so rich and people are so helpful with helping other people. So so how did it become like that? I think Facebook just, I'm not sure exactly what happened, but it just sort of just exploded. We were letting in like 1,000 people a week at some
Wow.
points. And yeah, I don't really know what to say, but at the point where it started to grow, I was shutting down my micro bakery and moving into teaching sourdough. So I was there to kind of help, but also just it was just so nice to watch people collaborate and share recipes and techniques, and it was really really nice to see. Um, I I'm known as being very strict in groups. I've ran some meetup groups as well, and I'm like, here are the rules, and we don't cross the rules. I think that's really important for any kind of group, is to be strict and not being wishy-washy. So if you step out of line, I have a lot of people who might post beginner sourdough questions, and that was one of the biggest complaints that the group was getting. It's like people wanted to know how to bake sourdough. This group, we wanted to focus on, you've learned that, and we want to move forward with selling your sourdough from your cottage bakery. So anybody who was posting beginner sourdough questions, I would always have to review what they post. So I got around it that way. I changed my rules. I asked Facebook for a lot of help. So you have an admin assist that will help, clear out spam and get you to review it. So that took a lot of tasks away from me from having to read every single post. Um,
So Lisa, let me just ask you there, that's something you can automatically set up, correct? Like when you say an
Correct.
assist, it's not someone that you've brought in, it's the automatic thing. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Good.
We did have problems. A lot of scammers or spammers were getting in. So I worked with ChatGPT to come up with some really good questions on how to, make sure the beginners aren't getting in the group. Because sourdough, anytime you saw sourdough, you just want to join the group. So we put up questions that really, keep out the spammers. They're not allowed, they don't know the answers to these questions, and the beginners don't know the answers to these questions. So I would really recommend, the questions are really important to keeping your group where you want it to go.
Great point. And those
Yeah.
questions, I mean, most of you probably know, but those questions would be set up when you set up the group. It'll say, what questions do you want to ask people before you admit them into the group? And so you can set up a number of those. And so I
Yeah.
like that strategically you've asked advanced questions to make sure you're getting the right group, because I think that's a big part of the success of a group is having the right people in the group. And kudos to you for not letting it go off course. I think that's brilliant. Her dogs are barking.
Went on mute. I have two poodles and they get upset with the dog next door. So
Sorry, I didn't want to cut you off, but I wanted to just slide that in. So a couple things. Okay,
yeah.
great. So what else do you want to tell us? And then we'll throw it out for some questions maybe from the group.
Um, it, that's my most popular group that I have. I try to keep selling off of it because I don't want people to feel like, I'm there to sell you something. So I set up a post saying, "What is your side merch on besides your cottage bakery?" And I allow people to post what they're doing on the side. They can't go outside of that. So, like Mondays, I have Instagram. Post your Instagram page. So it's like 100 people a week will join and do this. I wanted to give back to people in the group, and I also wanted to receive from people in the group. So it's like a give and take. I take suggestions sometimes. I have a couple of chats in there. I find them actually quite annoying, but if you want to go ahead and have a side chat about marketing or whatever, um, I also have turned down chats like the states. They'll say, "I'd like to have a chat for Massachusetts," and I'm like,
Yeah.
can you imagine having all of those chats with every state in the US? So I said, that's something you can start another group for that. So
Yeah.
that's kind of like, how do you want the group to go? And really, before you say yes to anything, to really think about, how will this impact people in Australia? Or, because it is a global group.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get people from Hong Kong and Thailand, and it's really, really quite interesting. Yeah.
So
Well, that's
Lisa asked, the other Lisa asked a question in the Zoom chat, which is key here, I think, because everyone on the call are business owners. So she's asking, does it generate income? And so I want to make sure that we do point out that even though you stopped the creation of sourdough of that part of your business, you do sell equipment for people who make sourdough. And that was the connection, correct? Why you
yeah.
wanted to
Yeah.
serve micro bakeries is because you sell to micro bakeries. Do you want to just kind of make
Right.
that connection for us?
Yeah. So I have a supplier over in China where I've gotten a lot of my own tools. Uh, so I kind of asked him, how can I sell this on my group and not have to worry about taxes and things like that? So uh, I sell the Banneton baskets, which are the proofing baskets for the sourdough, and the minimum is 50, and that's all that I sell on there. I don't sell anything. I've had a lot of people ask me to be an affiliate for their products, but it just doesn't feel right. Like I don't feel like I want to profit too much, but if I'm helping somebody, like if there's a new micro bakery starting up and they really want some good proofing baskets, then I will sell it to them, but I don't make a profit on that. What I do, so for every 50 baskets that I sell, that I send my supplier, he gives me $10 USD off on my shipping the next time. So it's kind of like I don't really make money. I just kind of collect some points
Yeah.
to get my own stuff back there. Yeah.
So what is, if you were to say the purpose of the group for you, you've sort of, is it the community that you're
Yeah.
creating? I mean, obviously it's establishing you as an authority in your field. There is no doubt. So if someone was in your group and interested in learning more about becoming a sourdough baker, your website is a part of it. So it's without selling, it's you're establishing yourself. But how else do you see this benefiting you as personally or professionally?
Uh, for me, I'm a we person. I'm not a me person. So this is not my only group. It's my biggest group.
Right.
So I like helping people. So that's part of my personality too. So I get to help people with like, hey, if you do it this way, it's probably going to turn out a lot better. But I also learn skills, which I bring to my sourdough classes. So I learn stuff, tips and tricks that I pass on to my students. And I have a group for my students as well. So yeah,
Very cool.
it's really I can't say I'm focused on making money. It's more to build community and be that medium, that middleman to help people find answers. Yeah. So
Love it.
yeah.
I love that. Okay, so I'm gonna unspotlight you just so that we can make sure that folks feel, here we go. I would like, if I remove UQ as the spotlight, will Leah still be able to see you? That's my concern. If I do this, is that Leah, does that work?
I can still see her in the grid.
It's not big enough maybe though, for Leah. It's
No,
okay?
it's good.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, so opening to question. Thank you, Lisa, for sharing your experience. I would love to hear other people who have an online group, by the way, put it in the Zoom chat by all means. I also have a couple of Facebook groups, but some of you might have others. Let me just throw that question. If you have a group, for the 52% of you that have a group, are you using Facebook, or is someone using a different platform? You can just come off mute, let us know. Tamara?
Sorry, just trying to figure out how to unmute. We are starting a group. We're looking at different software platforms. Personally, I know that Facebook and Instagram and all the social media are powerful tools, but I absolutely can't stand being on them. So I use it on a bare minimum basis to promote my business, and we're going to look at an outside software solution for hosting our group. So I wonder if anybody, Lisa or anybody else, has any background in that or advice, because this is new to me. Like, we are going into education and training for sure, and we want to do it in the best possible, like you, Lisa, like a collaborative, open, but also we're going to have to monetize it because we have staff and everybody's got to get paid. Like, it's going to be part of our business.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to like really explore all the options up front before we get started and try to pick the best one. So just wondering if anyone has any experience with any of the other community building software tools that are out there now.
Great. And which one are you looking at?
Circle.
Okay, Circle. Yep. Mighty Networks is another one that I've heard some good things about. But I don't know. Let me just go check the chat here. Circle was recommended. I don't see any other responses. I'm assuming
Carrie.
Yeah.
Angela. Carrie, it's Angela. Could I talk about what I'm using?
Yes, please. Go ahead.
Okay. So I do training, so workforce development training. So when I do a webinar, I will record it and sell it as a package. And so my clients are employment service organizations that are government funded. So within my learning management system, which is Talent LMS, there is a function for discussion that I want to expand on.
I apologize. Sorry, Angela.
Oh,
can you tell me what the name of that is again?
It is Talent LMS.
I'm going to put it in the chat.
Thank you.
So it has a discussion function in it. So anyone that is taking a course could have a conversation about that. I could build it into, the course. If it is you're watching the webinar and now there's some assignments there that you can go on and have a discussion. My website, Wix, has a community function to it that I have not used. And one group I belong to is called Nova Scribes for they're graphic facilitation, graphic coaches, and they use Eventbrite and then Zoom. So somehow, the community is built. They're live, and they will host. It's just a $5-10 webinar to attend, but they will host these webinars with different people, and community is built in that, so much more active. But I love Lisa, well done on that. But I'm the same as Tamara. My clients aren't coming through Facebook and Instagram. So it's more B2B stuff.
Yeah, and that's why those options are, and which we should stress, the other options are not free. Like the Facebook group is a free option, but as soon as but there are plenty of paid options. Jose, go ahead. You have your hand up as well. Thank you, Angela.
Hi, everybody. I am part of a group. I did not form it, but it's a Google group, and I was not familiar with this before. So it's Ontario Psychotherapists. And basically, if you're part of this group and someone has a discussion or a need, they send a message out and it goes to everybody in the group. And for networking, it's been really good. But I'm not sure about monetizing tomorrow, but yeah, I really like it. I didn't even know they existed. I'm not tech savvy, but
excellent. Thank you for that. Yeah, all those different options, and I'm jotting down some as well. The Google one, I'm assuming, would be a free group, unless it was a part of Google Workspace or something. There's a minimal fee for some things. Okay. So Tamara, I hope that helps to give a few ideas. Does anyone else have other thoughts? Yeah, Jackie, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know why my hand raising button is missing. So I was just going to mention something. I've been part of many groups over time, and I kind of felt similarly. I've created a lot in the past on Facebook, and I did find it get a little bit overwhelming just because Facebook is such a complex platform and there's a lot more going on. So I recently started to play around with WhatsApp. I've heard of other groups that have done this. It's also free, and I think there's a lot more tools in it that I'm even familiar with yet. I will say, like, my group is very small right now. There's about 4 of us. So I'm still just playing around, and as that grows, I'll get to kind of try some more of our features and whatnot. But that could be something for anyone else looking for a free one that's off of the general social media. Depending on kind of the style of the nature of your group, that could be something that you could explore as well.
Love it. Okay, so there's many technologies, and in fact, if we just Google, we'll come up with so many. I would suggest, because we're limited even in the size of this group, anyone who has questions around this can post in our We Can Facebook group, as it's actually the group, a little meta, but we use that group for posting questions. So Tamara, it's a great question to say, hey, does anybody use an online community besides Facebook? I'd love to hear about it. And so people, generally respond quite quickly in those groups as well. Okay, so let's move a little bit beyond platforms and talk about what do we do in these groups. And so for the most part, we're looking to establish our own credibility and leadership, obviously monetize as well, which I think is important if we're looking to use that as an income resource, or it might be simply to build community. To me, building community builds raving fans, which in turn leads to sales. So like I don't separate the two because I think they're very closely intertwined, but we can still do that genuinely and authentically. What do you put in the group, or what are some of the things that are happening in the groups that are working for you if you have a group right now? Let me ask that question. Let me ask the what's working. So for those of us who have groups, what is the thing? Because engagement in these groups is tough sometimes, right, to get them off the ground. And I will say that with the weekend community, it took at least 2 years. And I think that Lisa indicated it was about a 2-year tipping point where suddenly people woke up. And so I found that with the weekend community as well. And then I don't know if you've noticed weekend community lately, we've had like 10 posts in the last day, and that's not a ton. And thank God it's not, because I'm a one person, I have to monitor it all. But that's a lot more activity than we were getting, let's say 3 years ago. So what's working for you in terms of engagement? Jackie says using it as a communication tool for sharing important announcements. Great. And we should distinguish here that the difference between having a group versus your page, right? Because we all have business pages, is I find that people see it more in the group. it's almost like the algorithm says, oh, these people joined a group. They're really invested. So we're going to show it to those people more than the general page. So I will say that right away. There's a difference in how I see the algorithm working in the general page versus a micro group. So I'll mention that. Lisa, over to you.
Yeah, so on my group, I have a background in like group dynamics and things like that. So I really wanted to make it a safe space. So any bullies are gone. There's not even a 3 strikes you're out. It's just 1 strike, you are out of there. And sometimes they will come after me and it's like, I am so glad I got rid of you.
Yeah.
It's just incredible. I don't even know why they do it, but to make it a safe space, and there's no dumb questions except for if you're, and we don't call them dumb questions. Like I will say, this is a beginner question. There's other groups like Sourdough Geeks. Like I give them a suggestion on where they can actually go to ask these kind of questions. So I try to be approachable, but strict also at the same time with bullies. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Zero tolerance. Love that. Anyone else about what are some thoughts that help with engagement in your groups? I have a couple things that I do, but I will hold till the group can, just in case there's thoughts. Posing questions. Yes, that is golden. Asking questions, not so much telling people things, but asking for their thoughts on things, because the people in our groups, they know a lot. Like they're generally really incredibly smart people, like in their own fields or whatever. Even if they've shown up to learn, they have something to contribute for sure. One thing that's worked for me are challenges. And if you're part of any of my other business groups, you'll know I've always used I actually, and you will not believe this, used to do 21-day challenges. Some of you were a part of those. I don't know, like the attention span would just like drop off after the first week. It was so crazy. But I did 21-day challenges because I knew it takes 21 days to make a habit, right? But now I do 5-day challenges. 3-day challenges are also popular. And so Tamara, to speak to even like you were asking earlier about monetizing and such, you know, having a challenge around, it might lead to the launch of something, right? So for me, next week, I'm starting a Grow Your Circle challenge for my business, because my business outside of what I do here is all about women and networking. And so it's you grow your circle. How can you grow your circle? And then it leads to a call, which is actually a free thing, but to join my Grow Your Circle newsletter, right? So it's, to me, it's like pulling them there. And then what happens in the newsletter, obviously, that's where I sell things, right? That's where I let people know what they can buy from me. So it's a little bit of a 2-step process, but as people get engaged with those 3 or 5-day challenges. So that's something that works for me. Okay, here's a couple of questions. Tamara asked as well, how do you build your audience? Let's throw that out to the group and then I'll go to the Angela's question as well. So how are you building your audience? There are a couple of ways that I've done it, but for those of you who have groups, how do you get people to join your group?
I didn't do anything. Facebook helped me.
The algorithm figured it out. Yeah, no, and at a certain point, I think it's about the 1,000 people, or was it, you said it was a couple hundred though.
It was about a 150, and then I
Okay.
guess organically people started joining. We got to 1,000, and then it just like
And then it
just
took- yes.
launched into outer space. Yeah.
Yeah. Which, and let's just make a note right there. A bigger group is like just, I mean, it's incredible to hear what Lisa's doing, but remember, you don't need 23,000 people to grow your business or to make money, right? If you had 100 people in that group who are dedicated to you and what you're doing, I've seen it firsthand. That's all you need are 100 raving fans, right? We know that from business books, all sorts of them. So let's just make that note. But the other simple way, if you have a Facebook group, so let's say you have a page and you've had page for years, like Tamara, I know you have, and then you create a group. Once you create the group, you can invite people who follow your page to join the group. So you just go click, 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 and you invite people. And frankly, you might not want everybody, right, to be in your group. They might not be the right fit for the group. So you do have to kind of look. but there is a way of pulling people from the page to the group and not just announcing, hey, I've got a page. It's like a little click that sends them a message that says, would you, like Tamara's inviting you to join this group. And so again, it's knowing who you want in the group and choosing those people. So I'll just say that that was the quickest way that I grew my group initially. Yeah, so Jose, there's a book out there, and Cheyenne might remember what it is, but maybe someone else, that all you need is like 100 fans in order to build your business. Like, we think we need hundreds of thousands of people following on social, whereas those are just vanity metrics. What we need are 100 people who actually are the right people for our business, you know, to be in, let's say, a group. 100 people can change our business exponentially, whether they're referring people to us or brand ambassadors. I'm not saying stop at 100, but I'll find it if someone else can't find it. There's a great book that covers that topic. Thanks for that. True fans. Yeah, 1,000 true fans. Oh, it's 1,000, not 100. That's the American version. I'm gonna say in Canada, 100 is good. There's differences there. But yeah, I found that once I got to 100 in my groups, you know, that was pretty engaged. But yes, 1,000 true fans, great book. Okay, so other questions that were popping up. Angela had a question that I want to address. Lisa, a question for you. Is there a time where the answers of questions are wrong? And if so, how do you handle that? So people are posting questions, other people are answering in a wrong way, and how do you address that, if at all?
I did have one that's coming to my memory where I don't remember exactly what it was about, but the girl was so wrong. And I just asked her, you know, I told her, I said, that's not really right information. I'm kind about it. And then she came back and said something. And then I blatantly said, have you used this tool ever? Obviously you have not, so
Yeah.
I'm telling you I have, and you're giving wrong information. Sometimes I will just, you know, quietly delete the post and say to them, you know, in my experience, this is the right answer. And so I've removed your post. But if you can, you know, tell me your experiences, and they usually don't, they don't have experiences. There's so much wrong information out there, and this is how it gets spread. I just remove the post, or I challenge politely the person.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great approach as well. And I think that for the quality of our group, if we actually want the group to grow and stick around for the long term, we can't have people sowing misinformation for whatever reason, or the quality of and the authority, what is the word, credibility of the group is absolutely compromised. So it speaks to the fact that you have to monitor what's going on. And Lisa, you mentioned that you had a couple of people helping you with that in the group. Is that the case?
Yeah, I have two. I used to have four, but they just weren't, you know, you have to kind of vet, and I wasn't vetting. And but I have two left that are just really good. They've monitored groups before, and they're interested in the success of the group, you know, and they're available to brainstorm. So it was really a team effort to change the questions, for example. It's like, what do you think? And, you know,
Yeah.
so people that are available, have the same goal as you, you know, and yeah, that's it.
And so question, and this was my question as well, are they volunteers, or do you pay those that administrate?
Oh, volunteers, totally volunteers, yeah.
Yeah, and I have found that people who are the most engaged with your material, they'll be thrilled to be, you know, have status. First of all, it does give them status in the group to be an administrator or whatever you want to call them. So yeah, and also if they're that invested, they're probably thrilled to assist, right? And so to be a part of that even deeper. Love that. Okay. I have a few questions on here, but I want to make sure that we're are there any other questions people want to throw out to the group? Let me ask that. And you can put in the Zoom chat, or you can come off Zoom chat. I have a couple other guiding questions for sure. You know, I always show up with questions. Let me pause for the introverts who need to process. And I'm an introvert. Nope. like other way, let me just throw this, okay, here's one from Leah. How do you stay motivated or have ideas to bring to the group? Yes, and I think we all can say yes, especially during those 2.5 years where nothing seems to be happening and I'm the only one posting. And how do you stay motivated? Let me throw that out to the group. And people, some of you are like, I'm not motivated. My Facebook group is dead. I started one and it's dead, right? But that's okay. We can go back anytime. And we can resurrect it if we want to. How do you stay motivated? I'll be honest, Tiz, who's on this call right now, is one of my biggest motivators right now in my group. Because everything I post, she makes a little comment. And I'm like, oh my gosh, someone is out there. And I'm like, I'll just like, and I know that other people watch and lurk, but not everybody comments or like all of that, right? But in a group, you're looking for comments and you're looking for engagement. So I'll be honest, when someone like Tiz or Cheyenne or others, they model the behavior, I just feel like that's so incredible. So that's motivating for me. When I do see people who kind of get it, they understand how the group's supposed to work, that it's not a page, that it is a two-way post or communication. And now, like I said, in the weekend community, people are like, oh, I can post my own things as long as it's free, you know, and we have some parameters around that. How do you stay motivated? Lisa, go ahead.
Well, so for my group, I have 3 weekly posts that just automatically go up. And one of the big ones that I really love is tell us your tips and tricks. So people love sharing, you know, like, oh, this is what I do. And this is, you know, have this done before you do this, or measure your flour before you start making your dough the next day. So have posts that allow people to show their enthusiasm and their own knowledge.
Yeah.
I find the Instagram post thing, people just absolutely love it. And they will say, I post about, you know, tips and tricks, or I post, you know, about this, or so they're actually talking and telling people about. So I find 3 posts is about a good amount. And yeah, and if somebody posts something, for goodness sakes, answer. As
yes.
group owner, answer them. So ask more questions. So kind of get the ball rolling. Yeah.
I love that. That makes so much sense. So when you were talking about 3 times, she's saying 3 times a week. So that is usually a question other people ask, like, how often should I be posting in it? I would say 3 times a week. And as that ball gets rolling, eventually, maybe you won't have to do it as much. But so, yeah, I love that. Have a content plan. Jackie and Cheyenne is echoing that. And then we have another question here regarding LinkedIn. Sorry, I'm just going up to it. Sorry, sometimes here we go. Oh gosh. Does LinkedIn have an online community option? And if so, has anyone used it? Great question. Has anyone used the LinkedIn? There are LinkedIn yes, there are groups. Yes, there's pages and there are groups, and they are set up, they can be private. Great question. That's another place that you could actually have a group. So some of you know Ophelia Rigaud, who's a part of the weekend community. I know she has a LinkedIn group. I've never created a LinkedIn group before, but if you're a B2B like Angela is, and maybe some others, LinkedIn groups would be infinitely more helpful to you maybe than Facebook, for instance, or a paid group, right? Because the LinkedIn groups are still free. Oh, so Angela's also saying, what are the other 2 posts? So Lisa, you suggested tell us your tips and tricks. Oh, share your merch and Instagram. Thank you for that. Brilliant. Yeah, helping people, giving them a space so that they're not just posting spam in the group, but actually saying, you know, on this one day, this is when we do the promotion of, hey, post something that you sell. All right, some of these ideas are coming your way in the weekend Facebook groups soon, because I like them too. Yeah, I love that idea. Karu is saying she wants to create a tea tour group, just doesn't know where to start or how. So let's just sort of talk about that. and when you say tea tour group, it's because you want to take folks on a tour of Japan, is my understanding, correct? Or is that a different?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the,
Yeah, that's first one. I'm thinking in 2 years. And then I ask my followers and my subscribers, and then over 30 people sign up.
oh, wow.
So yeah, and then I can't take all 30 people,
Yeah.
probably up to 20, but eventually I want to make this one like a side business.
Yes.
I used to be a tour guide, and then I love to tour, and I want to go many places that
And you
tea.
love tea.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
So let's offer her some ideas. Who has an idea for Karu, who now has these 30 people who want to go to Japan with her on a tea tour? She doesn't want to lose them. So how could she start that group? Let me look at the Zoom chat.
I feel like depending on if you want it to be broader than just those, those 30 people, if you want to create like interest of that topic, your group could be involving, teas from around the world. It could be focused on that sort of content, what different herbs are used. Like you could really create something about just the intricacies of tea. I think that would be really, really cool. And then from there, then you could pitch your ideas to do these group tours. And I think you get a lot of interest. That sounds really neat.
Yeah. My mind immediately went also to not just a group for the tea tours, although you could have that as like a micro community. Like it'd be like, tea tour 2025, join our group. That's where we're going to get people excited about it. You could certainly do that. Travel or whatever, Karu's tea tour of Japan, 2020, whatever. And then just, hype people up in there. And so by the time you actually post the button to buy here, they're like revved up, right? And so it's kind of like warming your audience. Or I heard the analogy, when you go to pump the water up with an old-fashioned pump, you have to like pump it like 25 times before the water comes out. Well, you're priming the pump, right? For the time that you put that out there. So yes, some suggestions in the chat about names for the community. Love it. The other option is, like Jackie said, to have a more general tea community, tea lovers of Kingston Facebook group. I mean, why wouldn't you want to have that all the time? Because you can just sell them tea in there too, right? It's not just then about, you have your tea shop, your tea book club. I know you sell tea, you do tea workshops, plus this travel thing. You could put all of that like in there while doing what Lisa's demonstrated, asking them questions. What's your favorite tea one day? Or, tea Tuesdays or whatever, you have your own little things set up. Yeah, you could ask ChatGPT the question, how to build a tea time community. Ask for 10 ideas. You could go do that. Cheyenne says you could then include them. Yeah, invites for day tea tours. You can start with day tours. Because I know like Toronto has like the tea festival. So maybe you go into Toronto for the tea festival and then you come back to Kingston. Maybe you warm them up with a day trip before doing the big thing. Yeah, or a meetup group, right? Let's meet for tea somewhere. And yeah, I love that. Okay, so hopefully those are a few ideas. And for a few of the others who don't have groups, that might be some thoughts as well. If you want to do it for free, Facebook works, but if you were focused more on business community, it would be in LinkedIn. And then there are those paid options, which we had talked about earlier as well. Any other ideas around?
Thank you.
I'm excited. That would be a really cool group. And I mean, you can see how fast they grow. I mean, it takes some time. And I think that's what I would say for everyone. Stick with it, be consistent. And I'm a big fan of consistency anyways. And there will be a tipping point. At some point, people are like, oh, we get it now. Carrie's not going anywhere. This is a place where I can come, feel safe, all of those things, right? And we've seen that in the weekend community. Muriel, over to you.
Given that this particular trip is in Japan, make maybe one page, not the entire group, about specifically Japan, because you would know better than anybody. The best sites that tourists don't know about, the most interesting and unusual historical bits. Really make it special. And then what you could do is, if I assume you have teas from other countries, every month do a different country and say why this tea from this country is the best of this particular flavor. Make it
Love
sort
that.
of internationally exciting.
Yeah, I love it. Lisa suggests also handing out little cards to people when they buy your tea to join your community. Like maybe a little card you put in the bag. If you're already doing that, you could do something on the flip side of it. Love that. I should watch the time here. Okay, 15 minutes left. We're good. We're doing well. Any other questions? Go ahead, post in the chat. We'll get to those for sure. Okay, Jose is saying, for those of you posting, do you duplicate posts in Instagram and Facebook or use different posts? Now, Instagram doesn't have a group option, so I'm assuming you're just speaking about social media. And I'll just answer that quickly. I put the same stuff both times, but I don't, yeah, duplicates save time. Everyone's, I think, repurpose the material in as many ways as you can. Put it everywhere. Saves you time. Everywhere, yeah. Okay, let me see my list here. How can we add that monetizing? Let's do some talking about that monetizing feature, so that we've heard that a community can take a lot of time. For some of you, I know you're thinking, if this isn't going to result in revenue, I'm not sure I have the time or the bandwidth to do this. So has anyone found ways to monetize? And I certainly have in my business community. It is a place that I do post. So I had put it in there previously, but because my group is about women networking, I hold paid networking events for women. So it makes sense then. I'm not trying to sell them something weird. It's a group for women who want to network. So when I announce we have a summer retreat in August, we have people who sign up from there, because that's why they're there, is to network with other women. So I do sell in the group. I don't allow others to sell in the group though. It's my group, right? So I might though put something like a post that says, what are you working on this week? Or to Lisa's point, what is something that, it could be a question where they're invited, but it's not a spam, right? Because we have to control the spam. So that's sort of, I certainly every week sell from that group because that's how it's set up. Just checking here. Oh yeah, that was about the other question. How do you sell in your group, or how could you imagine selling in your group?
For myself, for a couple of years, I've been thinking about doing like a weekend-long professional bakery retreat in Kingston, Ontario, where, the group, most of them are from the United States. If I got a really good baker, so I have a friend in England who wants to come over, and that I could sell a lot of the courses that he would teach on baking for a micro bakery. So that's one way I could do it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And events are a great way to sell. You're not necessarily, you can sell anything, honestly. You can sell coaching, you can sell classes, you can sell tools, again, if it makes sense for that group. And I think that what's important is that it's adding value to the reason why the group joined in the first place. So it makes sense to me that if Karu has a tea lovers of Kingston group and she hosts a workshop, why wouldn't I want to go meet some more tea lovers and talk about tea? She's actually doing me a service by providing me a place to gather with people. People feel icky about selling. I'm like, we're not selling. If we just flip that, we're serving. So if you stop serving, you're going to stop selling, right? So if we think about it, how can I serve this audience? Sometimes for free, sometimes not, right? And we are business owners. That's why if we're not bringing in money, we have to consider why we're doing the thing, right? If we don't have the bandwidth. So other thoughts or ideas maybe that you've had so far? Yeah, go ahead, Tiz.
Sorry, am I Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. Just like Carrie, like your events and things like that, and Cheyenne, your marketing things, I'm waiting for more. I'm like, come on, give it to me, right? Like, I'm not going to do everything, but once I sort of connected and I see the value, I think everyone should promote themselves, because if somebody's following you around, they want to learn from you and they want to see what you're doing and do that too, kind of thing, right? So I think totally, support them and ask for and give them more for sure.
I love that. And to that point, like you can use your Facebook group or your group, whatever it is, to poll people as well, right? So I have in the past, I was planning to do an idea lab here in where I live. And it was like, here's 3 things I'm thinking about teaching you about. 1, 2, and 3, which one would you more interested in learning? And we took a poll, and the one that won, that's the one that I did it on. And I went ahead and planned that event, and that event sold out as well, because it was so I used the group to gather information, which then allowed me to monetize a workshop, but it was something they wanted, right? I'm not selling them something they don't want or serving them in a way they don't want to be served. Cheyenne?
You know me, I like to do it from like the top down. So strategically speaking, I see groups as you can use them in one of 3 ways. They can be part of your thought leader or authority positioning. So if you own a group and it's got valuable content, you're really supporting your brand position in that way. Or you can use it as an audience builder and a communication channel. So when you do have those offers, you can put it out there. Or you can use it as part of a paid offer, which is what I've done, so that it's another element to a paid offer, and then you can really nurture and pour into it because you know you're getting revenue out of it.
I love that. So expand on the third one, because we haven't talked about that yet. So this is a group Cheyenne will have, not for everybody, but as an add-on. So go ahead and explain that.
Yeah, it's the first time I've done a group because I am very conscious around the time that I spend with stuff, and I like to provide high value. So I have a boot camp that's running for the next 3 months, and there's going to be live trainings, and those will be on Zoom. But I also opened up a Facebook group so that we can really connect, and I can answer additional questions. And I'm already throwing content in there because I get so inspired. So I can really pour in the extra stuff into a closed group. And I know that those people who are there, we're all on the same path around the campaign that we're working on in the boot camp. So I can really bring in a lot of extra value in that way.
Yeah. And I refer to those as pop-up Facebook groups. So for someone who might be like, oh, this sounds like a lot of work and I'm going to have to commit, it doesn't have to be. So Caro, back to your question, it could be a pop-up Facebook group, although it's kind of long-term because the trip's not for a while, right? But let's just say everyone who's signed up to go on the tour gets to be in a private Facebook group, right? Where all you talk about is your trip and what you're going to do, right? So that would be a pop-up Facebook group just for the people who I would say have paid. And to Cheyenne's point, the people who pay for her summer course get into this pop-up Facebook group. It's elite, it's exclusive. I do the same thing with masterminds, right? And many of you know, because you've been in different masterminds that I've run. If you're in a mastermind with Weekend or other ones I've run, you get into the Facebook group, and only those 10 people are in that Facebook group or so. And it provides them an exclusive place to be a part of. And it does overflow from the content that we discuss. So it really makes sense in terms of an additional add-on. I love that. Thanks for highlighting that, Cheyenne. I don't even remember what my question was originally. Did I have a question? Let me go to the Zoom chat again. Good. Lots of questions or comments here. Oh, yeah. Someone had just said, when you're selling, what do you, I don't use because it's a Facebook group, I just share my Eventbrite workshop ticket link. But yeah.
I saw something about a year ago that I found really interesting. It was this girl who had a Facebook group, and if you wanted to join her exclusive Facebook group, you could pay $3.99 or something very minimal about that. But she had like 200,000 followers or something, and it was more like self-help kind of stuff. And I don't know how she did it, but I thought that was interesting. I could do that on my group with all those beginners. Look join this
Yeah.
group and you'll have some professional bakers helping you with that.
Absolutely.
But
Facebook
anyways.
used to, and it was only in the States, it never came to Canada, but they played with the idea of paid communities. And then it's gone away. Like I haven't seen it again. So in the States, there was that option to monetize your Facebook group. So you could pay to belong to it. And I haven't seen it since, and certainly it never was an option in Canada. So it might have been around that. Now, if you just look at it on a, very manual basis, you could get people to pay you, and then you send them the link to the group, right? Because it's a hidden link or something like that. So, but for 200,000 people, that would be a lot of work for sure. I assume that that's what they did, was use the built-in version. But yeah, you could though have a paid Facebook group and just have people pay and then send them the link, or you only admit the people who have paid. That's certainly a way. Jackie says, in the paid groups or free, if you choose, you can offer weekly, monthly live coaching calls. Exactly. And that's something that's more of value, that, hey, I'm going to show up in this paid group, but only in this paid group. And so you're then adding, that's more value that you can add for sure. Yeah. Other thoughts or ideas? We've got about 3 or 4 minutes left, so I'm going to be cognizant of the time. But any other thoughts that have bubbled up? I haven't asked the question, but you're like, oh, I do want to say this. Let's share these ideas we might have for building better groups, whether that's in Facebook or elsewhere. The one thing I don't want to, just go ahead and raise your hand if anybody wants to speak. The one thing, I've been invited to some other groups and I've actually paid to be a part of other groups. And I'll be honest, because I wasn't familiar with the format of the group, I never used it. Like it took me so long to figure out how to use that paid community. I didn't even do it. So it was a waste of money for me. So just think about ease of use, whatever it is. I think it's really important to be user friendly. Yeah, great question, Tamara. Lisa, this is a question for you. Time management. How do you manage your time with so many people in the group?
The group really takes a life of its own. They're kind of looking after themselves. So when 1,000 people were coming in a week, that was quite time consuming, just letting people in the door, watching out for scams and spams and things like that. But I got to a point where it's like I added more rules. I made the questions really hard. So I specifically made the group kind of run itself. Like once a day I'll go in and I'll manage it and release the potential spams that Facebook has flagged and things like that. There's not many squabbles on the group. Sometimes I'll get a reported post, which is, sometimes pretty odd. It's like, this is not hate speech at all. And I can't, people will say to me, I hit the wrong button. It's like, yeah, no, you didn't. Like, this, I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just make it so that it runs itself. I make it safe for a safe space for people. And I don't spend that much time. I might spend maybe 15 minutes scanning posts and learning stuff. And I don't spend that much time. Yeah.
That's what we like to hear. Hey, Adriana, last question or comment is yours. Go ahead.
Just a thought that's been percolating for me. I'm also looking at starting a group. I'm thinking maybe a collaboration in who, like, because it's a lot of work for me, at least that's what I keep telling myself. So can I collaborate with some complementary business owners and together bring the community, and we can moderate together and share the responsibility and then cross market, because then that's an option as well. So that's just what's been percolating. I'm taking a lot in today.
I love that idea, Adriana, and it's absolutely possible. I don't know about every platform, but Facebook for sure. You would just invite someone else to be the administrator with you, give them full controls. And yeah, I love that. Do you need to tell participants that you're using what you learn in the group to perfect your product? No,
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Oh, sorry.
What do you mean?
I would. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's intellectual property.
Yeah, that's
I
that's
guess
what
I
I'm
was looking for,
wondering.
what do you mean? What type of information?
Well, I'm thinking about if I were to do a poll, Lisa, I think you or someone said a poll, and
Yeah.
it's like, 65% of people, blah, 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 are facing these challenges and how they're using it. And, that it's in your group, but now you're using that to perfect or improve or create a product.
Yeah, and I guess you'd have to be careful, like what the sample size is, of course. Like if you could do a poll and 3 people answer, and then
Yeah.
65% of people don't believe that, it's just 3 of the people in your group said that. So when I like specifically put a poll, it would be specific to be, hey, I'm thinking of doing a workshop in September. These are the 3 topics. Which one would you want? So being like open about why you're asking the question, I think is important. If it's for academic purposes, then for sure. And I'm not even sure if Facebook poll, or it depends what type of a poll would pass the muster of what actual statistical analysis would mean. But I think, like, if someone, to Lisa's point, was offering a tip or a trick that then she, put in a book or something, she might want to say, I learned this from Judy from Barcelona. She's, that's kind
that's what I'm thinking. It's that kind of thing.
And I think that shows that you're part of a bigger community, which actually would probably attract people to you even more than passing it off as your own, because none of us know everything for sure. Yeah, it's a great question. And you could invite people to be a part of things as well. Hey, I'm writing a book. I would like to include tips. Which one should I put? All right, folks, we're at 11:01. The time flies when we're in these groups. Thank you so much for sharing your ideas, for participating, or just for listening, absorbing, and jotting things down. This will be posted on our YouTube channel later today. So if you need a copy of the link to the YouTube channel, just reach out to me. And or you want a copy of the text chat, because I know there's been a bunch of that. I don't automatically send the text chat out unless you ask for it. I'd be happy to share it. All right. So thanks, everyone. Enjoy this beautiful week of July. I hope you have a wonderful time. We'll see you again soon. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.